Hello, Panther fans. Timmy V.O. here with the Panther Comms Podcast, Monday in the Box. And thank you so much for checking out the Panther Comms Podcast. Let's get into the statistics of the game and, try to elaborate on, what I saw and maybe what you saw as well as Panther fans. Just before we get to that, thank you so much for checking out the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Panther Comms Podcast. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, where I engage more from my brand as opposed to posting a lot of content. But if you catch me on TikTok, you'll see some, film breakdown, some really engaging content, replying to comments from other Panther fans and or TikTokers and whatnot and all that good stuff. So you can find me obviously on Podbean and all the other podcast platforms, but also check me out on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, and on Instagram as well. Appreciate it. All right, so Panthers. First quarter was very interesting. It was another bend and break situation. That's when I believe that's when Green Bay fumbled on that drive, and we just couldn't get anything going, basically. But it wound up going into the second quarter, and we found our footing. That's when Rico got his first touchdown. Tedero was starting to get involved in the passing game. Once again, our defense was holding them to 2 field goals. Okay, and that was critical, especially considering that Green Bay got the ball at the beginning of the second half. Again, with they only got 6 points out of the third quarter. We got nothing, but we came back in the fourth quarter and sealed the deal, obviously, with Fitzgerald closing it down with that last second field goal to win the game. Into the win, mind you. And the wins there were crazy, from my understanding. Team total, rushing yards, of course, the one and only El Toro, Rico Dowdle. 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bryce only had 102 passing yards, no passing touchdowns, and a pick. And just to talk on that interception, by the way, knowing how Bryce throws the ball and that particular play where he was targeting XL, he had XL in the corner. He was throwing for the back pylon, but you could tell from where the ball came out of his hand versus the trajectory of the football, because they kept showing that interception over and over on TV. And I was listening to Luke and Anish on the radio as well. And they were talking about, and you can see that too. The wind caught that football and it glided towards the end, further towards the inside, even though he was throwing to the back pylon. Again, folks, this is something he and XL, obviously he got 1 touchdown in that situation, but they best believe they practiced that particular play, that particular rep, all right, a lot, right? Based on that defender, Bryce is going to either throw it over the top or he's going to throw it to a place that only XL can get it. We've seen it already. Bryce is not an inaccurate thrower of the football when he has a platform to throw from. Go back and watch the play. Okay, that wind caught that football. But anyway, he didn't have a touchdown in this game. He's obviously a manager, right? He's a game manager. And I think this is one of the reasons why he performed so well in game-winning drives, which he did again today. Any questions? This is why he's a franchise quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. This is why. And he'll only get better as he progresses, but he's definitely a game manager. Okay. So the Panthers had a combined 265 total yards on offense, averaging 4.9 yards a play, and were 7 of 13 in third down efficiency. And 2 of 2 on fourth down, and the Packers were 2 of 3. The Carolina Panthers, ladies and gentlemen, have the highest conversion rate on fourth down in the NFL. Remember how people used to talk about Coach Rivera, calling him Riverboat? Hey, Canales is IDGAF. This is what I love about him. He is so confident in his staff, coaching these young men up, and then seeing it in real time perform right there on the field. You folks have no idea how much confidence this generates within your team, within your coaching staff, and within yourself. It makes your life easier. And when you know you have good people around you and you see the product on the field, this is great stuff. I'm glad Tepper finally got his shit together when it came to the right personnel to put in the front, not only in the front office, thanks to Dan Morgan, but as in terms of a coaching staff and stepping away and letting these guys do their damn job. Love it. See what we're doing. We've already matched our win rate from last year. We are once again above 500. It's crazy. The Packers were 2 of 3 in the red zone, and we were 1 of 5. We hit this is what I was talking about in terms of leaving. Well, maybe did I say it on this podcast? I'm not quite sure. I know I said it on the video on TikTok. We left a lot of money on the field, meaning we left a lot of points on the field. We hit the red zone 5 times, ladies and gentlemen. 5 times we hit that bad boy, and we only got 16 points. You score each and every time you hit the red zone, that's 35. Potentially. At least 30. And the Packers only reached the red zone 3 times. And they were 2 of 3. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to keep them the hell out of the red zone. Amazing. We got to the red zone twice, plus 2 more than the Packers on their home field with a shoddy O-line going against one of the better offenses in the NFC. Keep pounding, all right? Penalties. Now, this is what killed us. Now, the Packers had 7 penalties for 42 yards, granted. But the timing of those penalties for the Panthers were atrocious. No reason why we should have went through that situation, right? 5 penalties for only 39 yards, but again, the timing was the real damning element in that situation. Wow, especially in the fourth quarter. Okay, but yeah, we had 1 turnover. The Packers had 2, and they normally don't turn the ball over at all. You had a pick. We would have had 2 picks. It went for. If you saw the game or the highlights or whatnot, you probably understand what I'm laughing about right now. If you're a Panther fan, or if not, go look at Mike Jackson. Was wide open in the end zone for the pick. Hit him dead. I mean, he's just waiting for it to come to him, and he just. Boop, boop, boop. It was the funniest. Well, it's funny now because we won the game, but it's the funniest thing. It was the funniest thing. It was hilarious. So the Packers actually should have had three turnovers, but they only went up with 2. But they normally didn't turn over the ball coming into this game, which was again a testament to this defense. And getting that type of turnaround on the road after getting whooped by the Bills like that, impressive, right? Time of possession almost even. We beat the Packers in terms of time of possession by 20 seconds. Winning tight games on the road against an opponent like the Green Bay Packers. And granted, I think they didn't think we were going to come up there and actually play ball. I don't think Green Bay took the Panthers seriously for some odd reason. But we held the ball 20 seconds longer than this team, and winning that type of football on the road against that kind of opponent, that's a testament to how much this team is growing. Not grown, growing, because it's continuous. And folks, remember, we're still missing starters on this team right now. We're missing our starting right guard. We're missing our starting center, which should be Mays. Corbett did a good job today. Don't get it twisted. Man, starters on defense. Shout out to Wharton. He played his ass off today. Roseboom played a decent game. And again, Jordan was killing us over the top, dropping it in the zone between our underneath and our over, whether it was safety, whether it was safety corner, whatnot. But these guys played, man. These guys played. And again, the Green Bay Packers are no slouch by any means. Okay. Teteroa had 4 catches for 46 yards. Tre'Von Moehrig had a good game overall. He had a pick and 36 yards on that pick return, right? We held Jordan Love. Also, actually, did not have a passing touchdown. Actually, he didn't have a touchdown at all, passing or rushing. Excuse me. 37 attempts, and he did not get a receiver in the end zone. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers had 37 attempts, 26 receptions, right? For 273 and a pick, 0 touchdowns with his legs and or otherwise. What's that tell you? Now, Josh Jacobs got some chunk yards here and there, wound up having 17 carries for 87 yards and a rushing touchdown, right? But again, we kept Love in check for the most part. Huge. Dowdle had a big play. He had a big 19-yard late game run on 2nd and 10 that set up the game-winning field goal, mind you. And he would have had another big game for like a 20-plus yarder if it wasn't for it was an illegal formation, I believe. And we had to call a timeout towards the end of the game to keep us from losing yards again because we didn't line up in the right formation again. And JT Sanders was the cause of one of those situations. I'm not quite sure if it was both. But that's something that these coaches are going to have to evaluate. If you can't get your guys out there where they're supposed to be, okay, either there's a communication problem or there's a retention problem. If it's a retention problem, then you need to have another individual out there to take his place. That is not the time and place for somebody to screw up and not understand where to line up at. Forget snapping the football. We're talking about just lining up. That's ridiculous. Nonetheless. The Panthers O-line were facing a lot of injury issues, but still got the job done. I don't believe Bryce had a sack. I don't believe he got sacked this game, if I'm not mistaken. He had a couple of big runs for a couple of first downs as well. The Packers defense could not convert red zone opportunities. Okay. Pass rush again was underperformed considering. And again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Rico Dowdle had 20-plus carries for over 100 yards rushing and, again, 2 touchdowns, right? They couldn't key on Bryce. They had to get 8 in the box and man on the outside. And Teteroa, Coker, XL in a couple of occasions were getting things done. They were hitting Rico out the backfield. They were getting things done when they were moving the football. I'm telling you, folks, if it wasn't for the penalties, I'm telling you. Anyway. Now, speaking of the O-line, they just brought Zavala at right guard back off of IR. And now it's an elbow issue. It was his knee. Now it's his elbow. So, it's unfortunate. And the Packers lost one of their actually, I think in comparison, from a quantitative standpoint, Jordan Love's number 1 receiver, quote unquote, Tucker Kraft. From the way it looked, he got hit. As soon as his left foot hit the ground, was it left or right foot? It might have been his right foot. As soon as his foot planted, because he was coming around to make a block or head upfield to make a block for the running back. As soon as he planted his right foot, one of our defenders came from the opposite side and was engaged with a blocker for the Packers, pushed him down. And as he came down on top of that blocker for Green Bay, Tucker, right, planted that foot, and it's just freak of nature, man. They both met at the same time, his lower leg and the impact, right? And I'm not quite sure if his knee got dislocated or if there might be some type of microfracture or fracture of that shin bone area, as they call it. But yeah, it looked extremely painful. I really, really hope he comes out on top in that situation. But, so some pivotal sequences and momentum shifts during the game, right? The Packers moved into the Panthers territory early, but again, as I mentioned, only settled for 2 field goals. They didn't reach the end zone until the end of the game. Huge for the defense. The Panthers capitalized on a Moehrig interception to score their 2nd touchdown due to Rico getting it done. Of course, Bryce making some critical pass plays and not turning the ball over outside of that end zone row. Right? And with less than a minute, Rico Dowdle, again, that 19-yard rush to set up Fitzgerald and a 49-yard walk-off field goal. Critical. And granted, Fitzgerald already missed a extra point situation from that from the penalty from Rico Dowdle doing the end zone dance, whatever. He only gave him 2 thrusts. I'm not quite sure why they got pissed about that, but it was only 2. It was only 2. Come on, ref. But that was huge. That was huge. Shout out to Fitzgerald. Kicking into the win, mind you, for a 49-yarder to win it. Huge, right? Dave Canales emphasized, complimentary football. Of course, when you win all 3 phases, your chances of winning the whole game in itself increases drastically. So, but yeah, Dave was talking about, complimentary football, run game, defense, the 2 primary, right? Packers, despite the yardage edge, failed to finish drives and convert in the red zone. And that's, again, a testament to that pass rush that was coming at Jordan Love within the red zone area. We caught him a couple of times, right? The Packers didn't look like a 5-1-1 team. I'm going to be honest about that. However, in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen, you have to play the team that you're scheduled to play, which means you need to show up and play. And the Carolina Panthers did just that. Coach Canales put a lot of trust in his players in this game, ladies and gentlemen, and they performed. He felt Rico was the right call. Rico had his first 2 touchdown rushing game of his career, over 100 yards rushing. And quite frankly, the only reason why our offense put up points. Rico's a good guy. I know he got dinged up during the game. I think that might be in reference to the knee injury he had shortly after he was drafted by Dallas. But he took a couple plays off, came back in, continued doing what Rico does. This defense applied pressure and didn't let Love do what he does, which is catch you deep. Which, now, granted, we did give up several 20-plus passing yard gains in this game, which also goes back. Well, it doesn't go back, but it also ties to the fact that this defense bends, but it doesn't break. I know a lot of people don't like that. Why are you giving up yards? I'm not a fan of, me personally, having an offense in third and 8, 3rd and 9, 10-plus yards, and having my DBs, 10 yards off a line of scrimmage. I want to jam in that situation. I want to wear out your timing so my pass rush can be a little more effective. He's not about that life. And again, what he does is obviously it's working because Dallas Cowboys had a high potent passing game. Put them to bed. Green Bay has a high potent passing game. They didn't touch the end zone until the 4th quarter, and that was because they squeaked across the goal line with a run play. Having Derek Brown back on this defense, excuse me, I'm still happy. having Big DB back on this defense is critical. And I'm starting to see more and more that is not only his effectiveness on the offensive line or against the offensive line of the opponent, but his, follow me type of attitude. He doesn't just talk the talk, folks. Derek Brown is a leader on that defense, and they fly around and they center around that energy. You still have to remember, folks, we don't necessarily have those type of players on defense that you're like, wow, yeah, there's a lot of good players on this. Nah, we have 3 solid defensive players and some guys that flash here and there. Overall, our defense is mid-grade, but we put the clamps on people under this system by Evero. I find that somewhat telling. We as Panther fans have been, run amok before, bamboozled, I guess you can say. Coaches, coordinators, whatnot. And our patience is extremely thin. Coming from a Panther fan, I completely understand. But as a fan of the game of football, American football specifically, started playing the game at 9 years old, had the opportunity to walk on to a junior college football team out in California. Well, excuse me, a junior college, Southwest College, out in Bonita, California, back in 97. Was it 97? Yeah, 97. Learning the game from coaches who played pro football. Folks, JUCO out in California is equivalent to D2 here in North Carolina. I mean, there's some quality players. I mean, Steve Smith, Chad Ochocinco played JUCO in the same conference that I played in. Achilles Smith came out of that same conference. He was a year behind me. His was Grossmont, I believe it was. There's some really quality players, and one of the reasons why is because you have guys who played for the 49ers or some type of collegiate program out in California, Arizona, Utah. They migrate across the state of California because there's a lot of opportunities to coach in the state of California. So yeah, I really had the pleasure of learning from these people. And from a football standpoint, the Carolina Panthers, they have their culture now. Putting Rico Dowdle as the spearhead for that running back room solidifies that image that we're looking for. The culture's there. They are building players up and getting them out there ready to go. There is no doubt about that. You have a lot of young players that contribute to this team this season alone. A testament to the scouting staff and things of that nature. Dan Morgan's people going out there and evaluating players and getting a good idea on what they can do, what they can contribute. Because by God, they're nailing it. Rico Dowdle comes to mind. This team is on their way. And might I remind you, this is coming behind an offensive line that is in a plug-and-play system. And as Carolina Panther fans, we understand what that's like, and it's never good. It didn't work out well for Cam. It didn't work out well for a lot of the quarterbacks who play for this franchise. But the O-line coaching team, because it's not just one guy, the O-line coaching team, they wow, hats off. I mean, they deserve a raise. This is crazy. And I could be wrong, but I don't believe Micah Parsons was influential in this game. Shout out to Icky, but well, both tackles for that matter. Thank God Moten was playing. But anyway, so the Panthers improved to 5-4. Their first start above 500 since 2019, man. And we're going to keep pushing it through. We're going to keep pounding. And, yeah, what a game. I was lucky that my wife was here to watch it with me. So sometimes she works on the weekend and, we can't watch the game together, but we watched this one together, boy. And it was extremely satisfying. So, hey, Panther fans, enjoy your, enjoy your clout, so to say, right? Make sure you're wearing your Panther gear wherever you are rolling, wherever you are going, and wherever you're representing. Whether it's in North Carolina, South Carolina, California, Iowa, Texas, by God, get out that black and blue, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for checking out the Panther Comms Podcast. Make sure you are subscribing to all the channels I mentioned earlier. And as always, keep pounding. Peace.